we decided together, because I think I said one time we was in Miami, I said something about it being my house that I paid for. My wife looked at me, she was like, you will never say that to me again when it's something that we share. And so my wife was like, that when we moved to LA, I got half on it. You will never say my house again.
Wow.
She said, you can say that in the arena.
So a few months ago, Gabrielle Union went viral for basically talking about how she goes 50-50 with Dwayne Wade and how she's always felt like she had a monkey. Oh, wait, not even a monkey. She said she felt like she had a gorilla on her back, right? Because she's providing 50-50 with her man, who is an NBA player. But we're going to get there.
I struggle with that still, just because I think I just have more responsibilities, you know, for my money. So I get nervous, like, oh God, that movie didn't open, you know, well, what does that mean? Am I gonna have enough to hold everybody up? And everyone's like, it's coming, like, calm down. And I'm trying to find peace in the journey, not using my anxiety and scarcity mindset to be my engine, which is hard. It's weird to say I'm head of household because in this household, we split everything 50-50. But in the other households that each of us have to support, it puts there's always this like gorilla on your back that it is like, you better work, you better work. You know, you gonna sleep in? You know, somebody might not eat.
So she also came out recently basically talking about how she realized that she was operating out of trauma and she no longer wants to go 50-50 with her man. Like, she wants to be in her feminine, live her soft girl life. And of course, social media had a lot of opinions to just contribute to this conversation because people are genuinely confused. Like, why are you going 50-50 with an NBA player? You're an actress. He's a well-known NBA player. But it's just like, he don't have enough money to support the both of y'all.
About our house. And so my wife came out and talked about how we split things 50-50 in our home.
Yeah.
And so it became a big conversation about, you know, men and women who splits 50-50, who pays the bills and all these things. And then she recently came out and she said that she's in her soft era now, that she don't want to do 50-50 anymore. And I'm the kind of person, Jenna, that when my wife came to me and, you know, we had a conversation about not everything 50-50, but, you know, buying our house together, doing certain things for our family together in a 50-50 you know, situation. I was like, sure, baby. Yeah. If that's what you want to do. And if she come to me and she say, I don't want to do it, I'm like, sure, baby. If that's what you want to do. Now, the house may be a little smaller. Yeah. If we just going off my salary. Yeah. But it's all good. What about you?
Wait, hold on. But then we have to watch this clip because we want to hear what her talking about it. Let's listen real quick.
I famously said 50-50 or bust, right? And I meant that financially, spiritually, emotionally. And there's just a lot of days that I have 10% and I need him to be 90. There's days I don't and I need him to be 100. It's brought us closer because he knows it's not about whether he can afford it. It's being vulnerable enough to be open enough to know that I'm okay. I'm okay as his wife. He's okay as my husband. I'm okay in this family. I'm okay in this home. I deserve it. And so I'm trying to expand my heart, expand all of the notions of what vulnerability can look like.
All right. So she's in her soft era.
She's in her soft era. And I understand when we moved from Miami, we moved to LA, that's when we went to 50-50. And not in all things, everybody. Like, I pay for a lot of things, but in the big things. And a lot of it is my wife has went out and she's been working on her entire life since she was 19 years old for her own things. And so, you know, we kind of had a conversation. She was like, well, I can pay that. And I was like, well, do your thing then.
What about? And of course, I'm a person, I believe in genuine partnership. Like, two heads is always better than one head, right? But it's just like, in this case, your man is a ball player. He has to have money. So it raises the question of, why do you feel like you need to provide 50-50 with this man to the point where you are expressing that you are in survival mode and he's just allowing you to be in survival mode? And then Dwayne Wade was on an interview where he was basically talking about it, and he basically said, like, he never told her she had to, but it's just like, if she wanted to, then he said fine. Like, and if she said she didn't want to, then he'll be like fine. And I was just like, okay, but like, we're gonna get into that. But then I seen a video where a guy was basically asking the question of, well, why are women complaining about this when you guys are the ones who wanted to do the whole feminism thing? Like, why are you complaining about now not wanting to provide when you had that choice before? And I just kind of wanted to give my take on that question, because I feel like it's one of those questions where it's just like, you would understand why, but it's like you're choosing to be on like the extreme end. And I feel like in these conversations, like, people tend to lack balance, you know, like there are so many nuances to this specific type of conversation that it's like people have heard of, yet people fail to acknowledge because of what reason, I'm not really too sure, but let's get into it. Here is a TikTok that I'm talking about.
Bro, women fought for these rights that I believe they should have had in the first place. But now women are saying they don't want to work, right? What was the point? That's all I want to know. What was the point? Because now y'all saying y'all don't want to work, and if he's not paying all the bills, he's not a real man, and all of this stuff. But y'all fought for the right to work. Like, men have been taking care of y'all, but then y'all fought for the right to work. You know what I'm saying? Which, once again, I believe y'all should have had the choice. And then now y'all saying, well, if I have to work, then you're not the one for me. If you're not making all of the money, if you're not the breadwinner, you're not the one for me. It doesn't make sense, yo. It's like we're playing this everybody's a winner game with women. You know, pacifying women. We're still pacifying women, even when they make their own decisions. Oh, we're going to make you feel like you're doing something. When in reality, women should have just fought for the right to do everything except work. Get an education, make decision making. You should have just left out working when y'all fought, like, for your rights. Because for men like me, you know, I'm for human rights. It doesn't, logically, none of this makes sense. But now women are using that again, like weaponizing that against men. Like, y'all can get your own money, but now y'all weaponizing it against men. If a man don't pay all the bills, he's not a real man. Y'all need a provider. So y'all So the ancestors, the women who before times, who fought for women's rights, didn't think of this. Like, they didn't. As smart as y'all are, those women didn't think, you know what? We have a feeling. It's always this intuition women talk about, except when it comes to, like, logic. You know, women didn't say, yo, we got a feeling women in the future are going to actually fight against this. So it'll be pointless to, you know, want to fight to work. Or, you know what? Let's fight to work until, you know, we leave college. Right? Women can only work until they graduate college. Because after that, women are going to be like, well, now I need a husband to pay all of the bills. Like, we need to stop this. Stop pacifying women. We're in reality. This conversation shouldn't even be here no more. You know what I'm saying? It's like arguing about slavery or something like that. Slavery is done for. Let's make it right. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing to make right with women getting their rights and now arguing against the very thing they fought for. Like, come on, bro. It's literally the same thing as black people, like, coming out of slavery, fighting to leave slavery, finally getting their just due request in black people saying, but you know what? I still want to be a slave though. If you ain't making me a slave where I ain't gotta go to work and make my own money, then you're not a real white person. None of this makes sense.
I'm so damn confused.
So the question is, why did y'all fight for rights and for feminism, right? And I think the fair answer is because women wanted a choice. For as long as history dates back, women were always used as property and assets to exchange for the benefit of men. A lot of times not having a fair choice or even being happy about the circumstances that they're in. And oftentimes they were forced to stay in abusive marriages, whether it was financial, physical, spiritual, emotional, or even mental abuse. And within that toxic relationship with a full provider, you may not have to worry about a roof over your head or food on the table, but you could be getting treated like a prisoner, a maid, or even a sex slave. So if you were a woman, would you not fight for rights? Imagine a reality where you're told your voice doesn't matter, or you're told that you can't be seen outside unless you are with your guardian, aka your husband. Even at your grown big age where you know you are very well capable of monitoring yourself, imagine being told that you can't be outside by yourself. Or imagine you're told you can't go and get an education, or imagine you're told you can't vote in a system that you are living in. Or what about you can't get equal pay because of your gender, despite you putting in the same amount of work, if not more times, you're probably doing more because you're trying to prove your capability. Who in their right mind will want to live like that? So yeah, women fought for rights because it gives them a choice. That way you aren't forced just under any man because he has resources. You will have the option without anyone forcing you, and you will be able to wait for the right opportunity with the right person while being able to provide for yourself until then. And when you do come across a great partner who is willing to support you and they treat you good, a win is a win. Listen, a win is a win. Now, in my opinion, a responsible woman is always going to make sure she still has her own, just as a safety net. She can build on her passions and generate money, especially in this digital age. Or if her man really got it, and he's generous and she trusts him, she may not even have to work because he's willing to give her an allowance. And to me, that doesn't mean being irresponsible with the money that you're getting. In my opinion, she should still be saving, but also investing into her future, again, just as a safety net. So that is why women fought for rights, because the scales were not balanced at all. Now, for the women who are going extremely hard, like they want to be a man, that's a different story. Again, balance is so important. You don't go from one end of the spectrum to go to the other extreme. It just doesn't make sense, because at that point, like, you fought for one thing, but now when you end up on this side, you're gonna end up wanting to fight to balance it back out when you could have just stuck at the middle where, you know, the sweet spot was, but instead y'all decided to go to the other end. And one thing about it, I am not a man and I don't want to be a man. And I damn sure don't want the responsibilities of a man, nor am I competing with men, because I just don't see the reason to. You stay in your lane, I'ma stay in my lane. There's no comparison. But if I as a woman have the privilege of supporting myself, I'm happy to know that I'm capable of doing that. It feels good to know that you are able to be self-sufficient. But like I said, some women are genuinely competing with men. And there is such thing as women harboring jealousy towards men. And I once heard of this term called, I can't say the word on here, but like the male private parts, but I'm gonna say pennies as the word. So pennies envy. So it's basically like women envying men for what they are capable of doing that they feel like they can't do, or that they want to be able to do. And in my opinion, this is where hardcore feminism comes into play, because they are trying to compete with men. It's not even like just about rights at that point. It kind of gives like you want to compete with the man. Like you basically lost the agenda of what the purpose actually was for. And I feel like this seriously played women, because it put women into survival mode where they didn't even need to go that far. What women were fighting for in the past ended up working out, but instead of accepting the freedom, some women took it so far to where it became a competition versus them detaching from their unhealthy mindset and analyzing what reality better serves them as women. So yeah, I want to make my own money, but I still love that old principle of your money is our money and my money is my money. You know, and of course I'm not speaking from like a selfish or a user type of way, because just the type of person I am, when I genuinely care about somebody and you're taking care of me, when I got it, you got it, because I'm gonna want to treat you. But I just don't want you as a man to want my money. Like, why do you want to take the princess's money from her? Like, you want to make her sad? Especially if you have your own and y'all pride and egos is in y'all pockets. Why do you want my money? At that point, 2 + 2 is not giving me 4, and I'm confused. And I'm sure with Gabby publicly speaking about their financial dynamic, the internet had a lot of opinions. I'm sure she was also listening to public opinions, because a lot of people just could not understand. And she basically came out talking about how she's gone through therapy and realized that she was operating out of trauma, and that was just her trying to have a level of control by also having her portion available, even when it was a strain on her. Now, I know her and Dwayne doesn't have like the most perfect relationship just based off of a lot that happened, but I just feel like she may not have had a level of trust in him, maybe considering his past marriage and how he handled his ex-wife. But a lot of times what you witness and experience just growing up and just throughout life and the stories that you hear, that can definitely shape a person's perspective. A lot of women have watched and heard of financial abuse, whether they've learned to adapt based off of other people's experiences or just even advice that most elder women tend to give, like have your own, or even you'll be surprised, like there are dads out here that teach their daughters to have their own and to not rely on a man. That can create hyper independence in any woman. And in these said toxic dynamics, a lot of men manipulate and control their partners because they are providers. Some men take on that provider role but intentionally neglect their woman's necessities because they know that the woman depends on them and they just want to be mean. And there are some men who resent and even guilt their women for relying on them financially, basically making the woman feel like a burden to them. And a lot of times people talk about how like relationships lasted so much longer in the past, when the reality is a lot of women stayed in these relationships with their abusers because they literally felt like they had no other choice. If they wanted to leave, they knew they did not have the resources in order to provide for themselves and for their potential kids that they have. And another crazy thing is how some men feel like because they are providing, they feel like that gives them the space to go cheat. And I just feel like that's just a disgusting thought process, because like, what? So I completely understand why, after hearing countless stories of women and these experiences, a lot of women just want to do what makes them feel the most secure. But I feel like the downsides to us hearing all of these negative stories and experiences that a lot of women have had is that it creates this level of fear and hyper independence in you, to where a lot of women may not know when to let a man step in. But I also feel like it's up to a man to build that trust and create that trust within his relationship with the woman, so that she knows when to kind of stand down and allow him to hold his place. It comes down to trusting your partner and trusting that they have the best intentions for you. That requires the man to create that level of trust with his woman by actively and consistently showing up to where she can feel like, okay, like he has shown me that I can trust him enough to not like look at him in that type of way. And when Dwayne said he was with whatever, I was kind of like, but it's like I also don't know the conversations that they've had behind the scenes. But as a man and you as an NBA player, I will be damned if you ask me to split a bill with you. It's either he don't got it like that or he's stingy. And one thing about it, ladies, learn the difference between a stingy man and a generous man, because just because he has money, if he's not willing to invest into you or even just like spend, that's stingy. And no matter, he could be a millionaire and he would not want to spend it. That's not the type of man you want to be with. You will want to be with somebody who's generous enough to give to you. Like, you get what I'm saying? Because there are some men who are generous where they could not have a lot, but because they care about you, they are willing to share with you. So I really feel like it's important to understand that, because a lot of women tend to go after men who are like these big ballers, but it's just like, just because he got it don't mean he gonna spend it on you. But anyways, like I was saying, back to Dwayne though, it's either those things or he just don't like her like that, because it's just no way. And I feel like as I'm in adulthood, it's something that's constantly being reaffirmed to me. Like, men who care about women, they take pride in taking care of them. Dwayne, why are your woman telling you she got a gorilla on her back and you're just sitting there allowing her to suffer? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. But then again, didn't he have a whole baby on her? And I'm not gonna lie, Dwayne be giving me sweet vibes, but you know, I'm not judging, but it's still like, I feel like I've always noticed just a difference within their energies. Like, he seems like he's more leaning into his feminine while she's more like leading with her masculine energy. Like, I remember feeling like she seemed like she want to wear the pants in a relationship while he want to wear the dress. So that's why I feel like maybe he didn't really give her much pushback when it comes to just her wanting to contribute.
50-50 in our household is, first of all, let's say I have 20 to 50 responsibilities.
Right.
And my wife have 20 to 50 responsibilities. And when I say that, that means she has a mother, she has her sisters, she has her dad, she has a lot of things that she's responsible for.
Right.
You know what she does?
Right.
She pays 100% of that.
Right.
You know what I do? I pay 100% of my life. When our life come together, my wife is a working actress
Right.
who spends time away from the family to go work,
Do her job.
build.
Right.
We decided together, because I think I said one time we was in Miami, I said something about it being my house that I paid for. My wife looked at me, she was like, you will never say that to me again when it's something that we share. And so my wife was like, that when we moved to LA, I got half on it. You will never say my house again.
Wow.
She said, you can say that in the arena. And so in our life, our home, 50-50, we purchased it together.
Right.
Our daughter, anything that goes on with our daughter, 50-50, we
Right.
share it together.
Right.
Now, it's some things I pick up versus some things she pick up, but she does something, I do something.
Right.
If we take a yacht trip, we could do it 50-50, or I can do it myself. But my wife is a working woman.
Right.
She's a boss and an independent woman in her own life.
Right.
She's like, I'm gonna put, you know what, that little 200 that you was gonna spend on this, I'm gonna throw something else on there and we're gonna go on a bigger trip. We're gonna
Right.
ball out. Like, this is my wife.
Right.
Right? Like, I don't know about y'all, but I like having a wife that's like, that's cool, you can do that. The house we live in, thank God, in Hidden Hills, nice house.
Right.
Whatever millions. We could have had a nice house on my 50% too.
Right.
It'd have been nice.
Right.
She was like, no, let me put something else on and let us live a little different.
Oh, yeah, they got a little bigger.
So we probably share 3 things in our life that we 50-50 on.
Right.
Everything else, I'm 1,000%, and she's
Right.
1,000%.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I think it's okay for a woman to handle things here and there, right? But if it's not necessary because you're making so much, why do you have to take her money? And she's expressing to you that she has a damn gorilla on her back. As a man, wouldn't you want to take the damn gorilla off her back and save her? Like, you wouldn't just sit there and watch her suffer. Like, even if she's in her ego, take her out of that mold. Like, make her feel safe enough to know, like, you got her. And I genuinely feel like even if she had that trauma, if he as a man had that mindset of he wants to be able to let her know, like, I got you, he would have stepped up to where she would have felt so much more secure, which would have helped her out of her trauma. But instead, him kind of sitting back and just allowing her to be in her ego and take that control, it's kind of like he was further adding onto it. Not to say, like, you know, it's his fault, but it's just like, I feel like had he taken that initiative to say, like, hey babe, I got you, like, you don't need to slave yourself, you don't need to stress so much, their dynamic wouldn't be so feeling like she got a damn gorilla on her back. I would be damned if I feel like I got a gorilla on my back and I got a man. No. So I just really feel like had he created that space for her and reassured her even while she was in her ego, she could have adapted more into her feminine energy, you know, like not be so like busybody. And I feel like that would ultimately help her show up in a better way that would be productive for their relationship. Because at the end of the day, if she's in her best state of mind, that benefits the man. You get what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't just benefit her. If she's able to show up a certain way and prioritize herself and all those things, as a woman, that is adding value into the man's life in so many different ways, but also into her life. And if you have a happy partner, that is a fruitful relationship because you guys can build upon that. I'm kind of judging, but I don't know. It's their relationship. If it works for them, then I hope they figure it out for the best. Again, I'm all about partnership. I feel like two heads is always better than one. I just feel like there is a more strategic, better way to go about you guys' partnership, where at the end of the day, both partners will end up happy and fulfilled within the dynamic. But you know, everybody gonna do what they want, and this 50-50 full-term provider conversation is always gonna be had. So y'all, like I said, just observe society, take what makes sense and apply it to your life. And sometimes you cannot change the reality of how certain dynamics are. So just go with what works best for you. Go with the reality that is going to better suit you and better suit your relationship. And find someone who is going to agree with that so you guys can build upon that. But to say you want something and the other person wants something else, don't even argue, don't even fight. You go your way, go their way. Y'all find partners that work best for y'all. But anyways, I'm gonna end this video here.